Hi and welcome to another video, and today I'm going to show you how to make a Model O- wireless using the G305 mod from Adrenalize. I'll put a link in the description to all the tools that I've used so you could do this yourself. I'm going to go through step by step showing you how to make this mod. So if you're not from this channel, it provides you with the data and statistics to allow you to get a competitive edge over your rivals. So make sure you like and subscribe not to miss any updates so you're the first one to find out the advantages. I've been doing a few of these mods, so check out my other playlist. If you're interested in other mice, like the Model O itself, FK2, a few other ones, including Ultralight 2, I just did Noted as well. So first thing you have to do, you have to tear down the Model O. You're going to need the top shell from the Model O-. And once you've got that, take out the RGB strips. You can leave the diffuser in. I prefer it to stay in. Makes the mouse look slightly better, but it won't light up with RGB. You're just going to need a G305. You're going to have to break that down. I've done plenty of teardowns on these. Check them out if you want to see a bit of a slower one. I've just sped this up because, well, we've done this plenty of times. We should have a race to see how quickly we can tear down a G305. So you're also going to need a 3D printed base that I've got here. You need some additional accessories that come with it for the buttons and the front hooks. I trim the front down first and then file it to allow us to put a USB connector in there. This allows you to charge it from the front. This is going to use a AAA rechargeable battery. This is a 450 milliamp battery. And then we also just need to check the scroll wheel. As you can see, it's catching on the front buttons here. So we're going to file those down to make sure they don't catch on the button, especially when you press it. That will be annoying. This is not reversible, so if you do this, then make sure you get it right. You don't have to put it back once you've filed all the plastic off. You can see I've just taken about, 0.1 of a mil off or something. It is only just catching, but it's enough to annoy you. So once you've done that, we're just going to check the fit, make sure the scroll wheel is now okay. There's also a little hook here on the right hand side you can ping off with some pliers just to make sure it doesn't catch. Then we're going to take the wires off the stock G305 side buttons. We're going to take the cable off the Model O- side buttons here and attach the G305 onto it. This allows us to use the PCB from the Model O-. Nice and simple. Then we're going to take off the cables from the PCB and the switches of the G305. I did break the cable when you pulled it out of the case on the teardown of the G305, so I'm just going to put a bit of heat shrink on it. Cheers for giving that tip instead of using the insulation tape. Appreciate it, it's a good idea. What we're going to have to do here is file out the holes on the PCB of the G305 and make sure the fit's okay. This does require you trimming out some of it. The right hand side is done, the left hand side isn't. The holes need to be cut out. This allows the switches to fit in there a bit easier. This is not reversible, so if you mess this up, well, you've ruined the G305. Good job, they're fairly cheap. You have to trim them with a pair of pliers and then I file it down just to get them a little bit wider. This allows the switches, as I say, to fit in. Then we're going to have to solder the cables onto the switches. The white cable is the right hand button, the red cable is the left hand button. That's the adapter to raise the switches. You need that just so they connect properly once you've installed it. You could also use a bit of tape on the plunger if you wanted on the button to remove the pre-travel. We're changing a nice easy solder job here. So now we've got the right side in, we're going to do the left side. The cable's a little bit tighter, but it's easy enough to get across. You could extend it if you wanted. I didn't bother. I prefer having less cables in here, so you can have enough as it is. Test it on the 3D printed base. Then we're going to take the little metal springs off the battery connector 305, power down the rechargeable battery and scrape the bottom to the solder sticks. Add some solder, put the wires on for the G305 battery JS2 connector onto it. Then we use these micro USB connectors to create an extension cable from the front to the back where the battery's going to be. Done these in a few of the mods I've been working on if you've been watching me for a while. I'm also streaming on Twitch at the moment. Go check me out on Bearded Bob. I do some live streams on Friday nights especially, which is just gaming, messing around, playing with new mice, test those out with mouse pads. And on a Wednesday, I also do some modding as and when I can. This is a fairly easy mod. This is plus and negative. Easy setup. I'm going to put a bit of glue on there later just to hold those cables on because they can ping off quite easily on the USB. It's not the easiest solder job, that. It can be a little bit tricky. All these parts I'll put in the link in the description, as I've said, if you want to get them as well to make your own. I'm going to use a glue gun, don't put too much on the front. Adrenalize was always telling me that. Be careful of how much you put here because you can cause the PCB to lift up when he's right. So put the minimal amount on there. The only problem is you need to put enough that it won't push back when you put the cable in. There's a bit of a fine judgment how much you can and can't put in there. Just checking the fit, that's one of the key things to these mods. Using 3D printed bases or even just the other mods that I've done for like the G Pro Wireless Superlight, which we've modded down nicely. Did one for latency, it's worth checking out. 49 grams, scroll wheel upgrade, encoder, had the full works. But on that, you're continuously checking the fit as well, just to make sure you're not trimming things off and to make sure they all fit nicely together. 4 screws here on the PCB, we'll get that down. Then we're just going to wrap the cable around and just keep checking the fit. Screw the buttons down as well. The buttons are very sensitive. It could be like 0.01 of a millimeter could affect the switch whether it works or not. There's quite a fine tolerance of it working and not working, and you just have to keep playing around with the fit until you get that to work. So this is what it looks like. Plug your battery in early on, which I always do just to check it works, make sure the light comes on for your G305. It's got a little blue light. Then I'm going to add some glue on the edge of the battery to keep the wires in place because the solder sometimes can ping out. So then just go through and check your buttons, make sure they're working, make sure there's not much pre-travel. You'll know fully when you screw it all together, but it's good just to hold it together and try and get a good idea of whether it is going to work or not. Then you've got to screw in these front hooks. This allows the front of the shell to clamp down. You can adjust these later on to adjust the pre and post travel. It's a shame other mice companies don't put these in anyway. It'd be a good idea for them to allow them to be able to tweak the mice. People could do that on their own and decide how much they want or how little they want. There's too many wires at this moment in time, so I end up taping them down. This is only temporary just so I can get the shell on to make sure it fits, because the wires will stop it from fitting. These will be taken out later. So it's feeling good now, happy with that. So now we're just tweaking the front switches to get the clamp down right, so that we're happy with the buttons. This is where you can just adjust it, which I do like. I like to see this on the, say, normal mice rather than modded ones. This is something for manufacturers to look at as the next mod they should be putting in. Once we've done all that, now we're going to glue the battery in place. This one goes at the rear, which will help with the balance because most of the weight on the Model O Minus is at the front. Now put it all together for the final check. There's also a little bit of an extension to the DPI button, just added that on. But again, don't use too much glue to kind of affect it because it's quite tight up against the switch inside the case. Screw in the rear screws, test all your buttons, and we're done. Just got to put the feet on it, which I'm going to use the Model O Minus feet. These are the glorious Model O Minus wireless mouse. I'm sure Glorious will be sending one out soon themselves, but until then you could look at this mod, and I'll catch you later in the next videos. See you soon, bye bye.